Homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Bryson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22.
10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, dancing all around. Throwing as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver, you're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
All right, we are back for another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, and today, for our first segment, we are joined for a very special guest, Coach Tony O'Neill from the Duluth Harbor Monsters. But before we get into that, how's everybody doing today? Krish, you're out in Albany for the AF1 championship game. How's your trip going so far, buddy?
Oh, it's amazing. You know, I had a nice 5 a.m. night last night, getting lit out here, man. I love Albany. I feel like I found a second home, and I'm excited for the game today.
Love it. TJ, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good as well, and I'm also very excited about this championship game today.
It's going to be a great game for sure. Coach B, how are you doing this morning?
Wonderful, man. Ready for this game as well.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. And then last but not least, Coach O'Neill, how are you doing this morning?
No complaints, man. Extremely blessed. Happy to be here.
Very nice. Well, we really appreciate you coming on today. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I feel like we've got a lot to talk about. Krish, I wanted to let you kick us off on this one in terms of the questions.
Yeah, Coach Tony, it's good to finally be able to meet you. My question for you is, are you surprised by the level of competition in the TAL this year at all?
Am I surprised by the level of competition? I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I think the strategy is a lot better. The players are a lot better. I'm not surprised by it. Anything that you bring national attention to is going to get better eventually, especially when they find out that we're paying.
Unfortunately, money is the great divider when it comes to arena football, that's for sure. Talk to me a little bit about roster construction in the TAL. I know you've made some comments as of late about, being able to compete in the NAL, but obviously the roster construction, strategy, schemes, all of that in the TAL are quite a bit different. Talk to me about the differences between, specifically game planning for TAL versus 8-man football.
Looking at the analytics, you have a lot of teams in the NAL right now, and this isn't, I guess it's going to be taking the shots fired, but you have a lot of teams in the NAL right now that are solely winning off of rosters. Their roster is better than the next man, and they're able to compete off the players, not necessarily the coaching strategy. If you look at the analytics on that, there's no lies told whatsoever there. You have quarterbacks taking off that are winning these games, averaging close to 100 to 150 yards a game. I think the difference between the TAL and the NAL is just the offensive line, the defensive line. Obviously, their guards aren't eligible, but they're allowed a tight end. From what you've seen with David Ross of Omaha Beef. Dominant run game, you got to be able to bang. There's no huge leap there, in my personal opinion. And that's no disrespect to anybody there in NAL. I think the bigger leap would be the IFL. That would be the head scratcher. That would be the one that you'd have to come in and respect all coaches of all degrees. learn the ins and outs as a GM, as a coach, so that way you can remain there. There's a lot of head coaches there right now that don't belong there, but because they bring the money in, they're okay with being 1-15 or 1-14 or whatever the record is at the IFL level.
That's a fair point. TJ, did you have any questions to kick us off?
Yeah. In terms of just how smooth things seem to run for the TAL, what do you attribute just how well run and professional the league's been really since its inception?
Everything's a learning curve for everybody. They've put the right people in position in front office, as far as the league is concerned, to help run this thing extremely smooth. Tommy Benzino, Ronnie, Michael Kubin, like all those guys that have been around the arena world for some time now have made sure to structure this in a way that it's fail-proof. So even if a owner is no longer able to take care or do their duties as a team, the league absorbs it and the responsibilities that comes with that, and that comes down to financially being able to provide the buses to make it to wherever, the hotel fee or the payments of rosters. I mean, that's special, man. They're able to keep running this and facilitate this in a way where it's fail-proof.
Love it. Coach B, do you have any questions for Coach O'Neill?
Coach O'Neill, what do you see is the big difference before coming from where we came from? We went through the trenches to get what we had in our coaching career as far as playing semi-pro, playing arena, doing what we're doing, and then finally get a chance. And I know a lot of people be afraid to ask this, but do you think it's harder for coaches like me and you to get actual jobs and get people to believe in what we're doing in our culture because where we came from?
Absolutely. So here's how I see it. I'm completely honest. Arena football is set up for black head coaches to be successful because we're dealing with guys that either dropped out of programs, kicked out of the NFL. We're able to control the locker room a little bit stronger because we relate way better to what they've been through, unfortunately. Having played in the IFL, lacrosse Spartans, living in like the Red Roof Hotel, being paid league minimal. I think it was $200 or $250 or something like that. But being able to be coached up by Coach Gilbert Brown, Coach Kyle Brown, his brother. Carlos was the OC at the time. I think he's the UFL intake guy now, the player rep guy now. And then just being around all those dogs at that time, even though our record wasn't the greatest, I picked up so much and seen so much was what started the fire with me. And that's coming, and that's looking at a Hall of Fame, a Hall of Fame guy, the Gravedigger. And even though he didn't finish the season, his brother did, and just seeing how he moved and things I could have done better in those situations is what I reflect on. Yeah, I'm animated. Yeah, I talk a lot of junk on the internet. But that's just who I am. Like, I still feel like a player at heart, and this is what we did in the trenches. Like, it's never nothing personal. I'll never disrespect a Coach Mans or Coach Titus, or what I'm saying? Like, it's never like that. We're at the games, I'm handshaking, talking, absorbing as much knowledge as I possibly can. Mike Davis hits me up as a mentor. Coach Ware hits me up as a mentor. But I'm learning in my year 2, and after that suspension, I got to kind of chill my delivery a little bit. Got to keep this thing a little bit more professional because not being out there with my guys, we were 1-1, but it still hurt.
I'm glad that you said that, Coach. Relating to the suspension, do you think coaches like us, who you say we think from a player standpoint, we're players coaches, so we've been in the game, we saw the good and the bad of the indoor game, and when we come as a coach, we try to make sure every aspect is touched where we don't have to get those problems. Do you think older coaches, older owners, or people who've been around the game are offended by us younger coaches coming in with our style and the way we run things and the way we do things? You think they're offended, and why is it not more coaches of our caliber, younger, who are prepared and ready for this, not getting the jobs that we get, and they're recycling the old coaches?
And it all comes down to who's in their ear. I had a really green owner, and Brent, great guy, great man, great business owner. And originally I came into this simply wanting to be a food vendor. I owned my restaurant at the time, Jamrock Culture Restaurant, and had reached out to them via Facebook to say, hey, man, let's sit down because I know you guys are going to need food vendors. I would love to do it. It's extra money in my business's pocket. And at some point, I used that platform to get a player, a kid, fresh out of high school, didn't go to college, but I figured this was the TAL. It's a super green league. It would give him an opportunity, right? And it turned into me being a head coach. It turned into an offer. What I'll say is this. I think it's harder for us when you see the character that I display, very boisterous, very opinionated, very very in your face. Instead of trying to sit at the table, I'm trying to kick the table over. I got to be careful of what I say. I can't speak as my normal self. Sorry, fellas. They watching everything. So, but you know, when you come with that attitude, it makes it a lot harder for guys like me to get into the league, because some people love it, some people hate it, right? But even with that, we're the most hungriest because we're not given the opportunity like these older coaches. Like I'm watching NAL all season long, and I'm not just watching my players. I'm trafficking through everything, and I'm like, man, you know, like a guy like MJ, the head coach of the Minneapolis Warriors, can come in and make the Omaha Beef look foolish, and that's a championship caliber team that has won 3 back-to-back championships under that regime. At the time, has the arena players, the caliber players, but because he sat there and watched film and watched what their tendencies are, and this is no shot to Coach Mike. He had Coach Mike feeling like somebody was in his playbook and giving him information, and that just simply wasn't the case. So you got guys that are hungry for this that just aren't getting the opportunity because sometimes we as coaches drop the ball, and instead of opening the gate, we wind up closing it with our antics.
That's an interesting comment. And honestly, it sounds like you've learned a little bit since having to come back from that suspension. Talk to me a little bit about your staff this season. Obviously, you have a new offensive coordinator in Deron Clark. You've had some other changes on the staff as well. But, you mentioned before that they were 1-1 without you. They kind of hung in there, found a way to make it work. Talk to me about how the staff came together this year and how you felt about their performance when you were suspended.
Absolutely adore my staff. I mean, behind every great head coach is a great staff, right? So I'm always going to give praise and worship to my guys. Some of them are very green to arena, never coached in it. Some have been able to, carry 1 or 2 games under their belt. Again, MJ was a very successful semi-pro head coach with the Minneapolis Warriors. They played arena teams. They beat the Iowa Woo last year in the 2024 season. They beat the Omaha Beef this year in the 2025 season, which shook the world up. We have Dan Renfro, a very seasoned semi-pro head coach, a winning head coach. At the time of his success, he was with Coach Terry Fawcett. He was the OC, and they had the Superior Stampede, which was one of the teams that would get at the the St. Paul Pioneers at the time, who was the dominant national champions of the league. And then I brought in Dominic, who was a quarterback. He was originally supposed to be my OC's assistant, but everybody, kind of knows what happened with that situation. So we had to pivot, and I felt as though at the time, with him having his tenured 14 years as a quarterback, it would be a great look to have as a passing game coordinator as one of our OCs. And then at very last minute, I saw what happened with the Cobras, and then extended my offer to Coach Darren. The rest is history. I think what they did while I was not able to communicate, while I was not able to be around them whatsoever, was outstanding. I think they came together as people who don't know each other, was able to topple the GOATs. Started out really dominant before the GOATs rallied back, and that staff is, Dorsey and Tyrone. I mean, needless to say, they were 7-1 last year. Without their general, it's been a little bit kind of hard, but they're only losing by 1 point difference. They'll turn it around. We turned it around late. I'm sure they'll turn it around. They're still the team to beat. But they were able to topple them, and then we were able to come back against Bones, but some late game IQ misses put us in bad situations, and from players and coaches. And at the end of the day, as a head coach who was going into on a 14-game win streak, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all.
Completely understand. We're going to wrap it up here soon, but I have a couple more questions for you. Ryan backstage wanted to ask about Richie Murphy, the recent addition to the Harbor Monsters. What are your thoughts on Richie?
Despite what people would think, right? So I remember when I first saw Richie's social media, I'm like, man, this guy, this kid don't know what he about to get himself into, and people are going to target him. But after the second practice, the first practice he did something. I'm like, maybe that's a little luck, right? That's a little rookie luck. The second practice he came into and what he was doing on that field earned him a starting spot and earned me getting cussed out and the player quitting because I replaced him with Richie. This ain't a social media stunt. This ain't for clout. Richie is an amazing, undersized, gifted player, and he reminds me a lot of Dante Mason of the Miners. Not scared to put his nose in the ball carrier's chest. Great agility, great hips, great footwork, a true nose for the ball, and a high IQ. I mean, you can't really, if he was a 6'3" guy, he would be somewhere right now. His journey would be a lot different versus him being 5'7".
I could see that for sure. Krish, TJ, any questions you guys want to get in before we let Coach get out of here for the day?
Yeah, Coach, you spoke about it earlier, but I wanted to ask you, I know you watch the games really intently. What do you think about the talent gap between the AF1 and the NAL? Do you think it's wide, or do you think it's a lot smaller than people think?
The talent gap between the NAL and the TAL?
Nah, the AF1.
AF1. Albany is the standard, right? From coaching staffs to players to how they execute, what their game objectives are, they are the standard. They're undefeated for a reason. To compare them to anybody with the NAL, they would cause a lot of problems in the NAL. They would cause a lot of problems in the NAL, but that would be them moving backwards. They should probably be in the IFL, where it's like the prestigious league, to see what they do in the IFL. I have no doubt they would be able to shake up some things and shock the world. But the AFL, this is the AF1. I'm sorry, the AF1. I keep thinking AFL. I'm old, man. Apologies. AF1 is a lot of building to be done in that league. A lot of ironing out. I know they plan on adding 2 new teams. I saw one in Michigan and one in Ohio. You always love to see teams expanding and going to where they need to go. Hopefully, these are fail-proof issues to where as though they don't wind up losing anybody, and they can continue to dominate. But it's hard to judge that right now because the NAL has been along for the ride a lot longer than the AF1 has. But if you watch the games and you look at the talent pool, you would see that Albany is one of those teams that could definitely go in there and compete with any league right now.
TJ, do you have anything for him?
No, I'm good. Thank you again, though, for coming on and giving us your insight. It's been a great interview.
I appreciate you, boss.
Coach B, do you have anything?
Coach C, what's your predictions for the rest of the season for the TAL? Where you think everybody will land, and where would you rank the coaches right now?
I really like what Coach Victor has came in and done along with Titus. You know, they've obviously changed the culture with the Woo. The Woo was a single game team last year. Always got love and respect for Coach Dorsey and them. It seems like Coach Cam with the Lunkers are starting to try to figure this out a little bit with their rosters, but it's definitely going to still come down to his ability to coach, his defense, and whoever the offense coordinator is, his ability to continue to put points on the board. It's still my house, my second home, however you look at it. We're 4-0 against the Lunkers, and we plan on going 5-0 next week against them as well. That's not a prediction. I'm telling you, we're going 5-0 against the Lunkers. And then, we got another coach in the league that's running Wishbone in Arena. So it's I got respect for the players. I got respect for the coach. I got nothing to say bad about him, but I mean, he's running a Wishbone offense in Arena football. So that's Chris's man's. That's your man's.
Hey, that's Chris boy.
That's NCAA college football. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't got really nothing to say about that. I'm just trying to add another one of these to the collection. These ain't $75 rings. These the real deal.
Again, congrats on your championship last year, and
Appreciate
congrats on getting your rings this year. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted it from you, but you did what you had to do as a coach, and you made the right adjustments. And I feel like last year it was us and y'all versus everybody. This year it's more comparison and more real true competitive in the lead, and I think that's what separates the TAL from the other leagues. As far as the streaming is on point, the viewership is up, the crowds in each arena is up, and just the presentation as far as players, coaches, and all that are looking 10 times better than last year, and is making it compete with the IFL and NAL.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll always still hold the IFL to the highest regard because I played in it, right? And I have a lot of friends, a lot of coaching staff at that level. Again, it's the original way of playing arena football. Their format is the realistic way of doing it. But the TAL is more exciting to me, in my opinion. More things that you got to look for as a defensive coordinator as far as how to stop it. Everybody has their own makeup and what they got going on and what they're doing. At the end of the day, man, it's about growing. I think Mr. Krish was absolutely on point when he said it was going to be more competitive. And at the end of the day, man, this is, you don't get distracted by shiny objects. This was cool. We lived in the moment on this, but we have to take care of business, and that starts as soon as I get off the phone with you today.
I love that. And on that note, Coach, we really appreciate your time this morning. As always, you're fun to talk to, and looking forward to seeing what you can do later on today in your guys' game.
Absolutely, boss. I appreciate y'all for having me. Thank y'all. Y'all stay blessed, stay safe. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Have a
Coach.
great rest of your day. Best of
See
luck.
ya. Appreciate it.
All right. We're going to transition over to the AF1, but before we do, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And then we have Albany defense kid and then Ryan, Nashville Cats fan. I don't know. He doesn't have a fancy nicknames yet. We'll get him one. But we're going to talk some AF1 championship, which is obviously coming up. Albany Firebirds versus the Nashville Cats in Albany. We actually are going to have 3 different members on camera at the same time, all in Albany for the game. So pretty cool. But yeah, we'll hit that commercial break and we'll come right back.
I'm just being myself, cool as can be. When I'm being myself, you wish you were me. It's so easy. Get out your own way. It's just so easy.
All right, we are now joined by our 2 esteemed AF1 guests. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good. I appreciate you guys having me on. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to TJ. Really appreciate this. And I'm looking forward to the Arena Crown later on this afternoon.
Absolutely excited to have you on. Defense kid, what's your real name? I ask you this every time you come on.
Do you? I don't remember this the last 2 times I've been on this fine program.
I feel like I asked you this once before, but I could be wrong.
Real first name is Anthony. Yes,
Okay,
that is defense kid lore being dropped right now.
Yeah,
You've heard it here first, folks.
Well, now we know. It is his name is Anthony. All right, so let's go ahead and go to each of you guys real quick, and just get an overall kind of quick breakdown of what you think your team's going to do tonight, and we'll go to Ryan first on this one.
Yeah. I think like Chris said yesterday when we were talking, I think that Albany's probably the favorite to win this game. I know that we come in as a big underdog, and we've lost to Albany twice this year already. Castronova's put on a heck of a performance against our defense both times. I think today the biggest thing for us, for the Cats, would be just try to get pressure on Sam. I mean, if you can break that Albany front offensive line and just try to make Sam, make some quick decisions and maybe make him throw off the back foot. We can have Sean Lewis or our DBs maybe make a play. We just need everything we can today. I believe that if we can work the clock and Tyler Kolk can play a good, safe game like he did last week, I think that we might have a chance. We were in the game with Albany the past 2 times we played them, and our special teams has kind of let us down both times. In arena football and the AF1, stuff can flip just like that. All it takes is one play. So if you throw one interception, if you go for a 4th down and you don't get it, the whole momentum can change just like that. And we've seen it twice already this season. I just think the biggest thing for Coach Arbet today would be if we get down near the red zone, if we get down there, give the ball to Calvin Fance, push it, run the ball. Don't sit there and feel like you have to throw every down. Implement the run game. And overall, I feel like attacking 24/7. Don't let the foot off the gas. And hopefully we can have a big day today.
I like it. Somebody came prepared this morning. I love it. Anthony, what are your thoughts on Albany and overall? What are your expectations for them in this game?
I feel like it's a bit different when you come into the championship game undefeated. It's not like, I guess, previous years where we've had losses, even though I would say very few because we were the 1 seed every year except for last year. But I mean, it just feels unstoppable to be an undefeated team. I wonder if this is what Omaha feels like, but yeah, I did not come prepared for this. Anyways, I feel like it's just if they get complacent or not. I mean, they've been saying that they're a very good football team all year. Like, they've had the best group of people all year, better than last year. And I mean, I feel like they have the strong bond to get that done, but it's still, I guess, worrying because they've shown signs of, I guess, losing. I guess the first game against Nashville was big, but that was against Cato. The Salina game against Cato. I feel like I feel much better about today than I did last year for the Arena Bowl. I felt like Billings definitely had a better chance of winning, and I thought that Billings was going to win the Arena Bowl last year, and I didn't pick Albany, but you know, I feel like there's a much better chance of us winning today than last year, and I'm not saying that we will, but I feel like Albany, it's going to be, I feel like, a turnover game. Like whoever gets the first turnover is going to win the football game. And I feel like it's going to be a lot closer than people think just because it's championship high stakes and with how good the Cats have been playing all year.
I agree.
Completely agree. It might be a hot take, but I think this is going to be a one-score game. Whoever wins it is probably going to be the last team to hold the ball, in my personal opinion. Now I know Albany's run through teams all season long, but I have this feeling that this game's going to be really close. But TJ, do you have anything for these guys or anything you want to talk about when it comes to the championship?
Yeah, I was thinking about it a little bit this morning before we got on the air, and I agree it's probably going to be one of those just title fights. You have Coach Ware on one side, Coach Arbet on the other. A lot of championship pedigree going on. If you had to place a bet over under each team going for it on fourth down 4.5 times, what would you bet on, over or under?
I could easily say over for this one. You've got
Yeah, me too.
two previous long, I guess I would say long tenured arena coaches. Albany's gone for it a lot this year. Our bets, I mean, maybe the kicking game. I'm sorry to say this, but we've seen the kicking game for Nashville. I feel like it'll definitely be over that 4.5 for sure.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and speak on that as well. I got to watch Gunnar Rayborn, our kicker, last week in person. They had him out there like an hour early. Our bet did, kicking extra points. I'd say, he's more likely to hit a deuce than he is an extra point. I know that's bad to say, but I trust in our offense going forward on fourth down. I mean, our bet proved it last week. Leave Kolka and the guys out there. If it's a short game, go for it. I believe it's a higher percentage of making the fourth down than sending Gunnar Rayborn out there to kick an extra point or a field goal.
As we know, that can be a huge, huge deciding factor in any game. You miss a couple kicks, and all of a sudden it turns the entire tide of the game. Coach B, any thoughts on the AF1 championship game today?
Feel the same way they feel, but one thing I will say, you got to realize Coach Arbet is made for this.
That's right.
This is where he thrive at, and a lot of you guys don't know. I know I've been cut by Coach Arbet in San Jose, where he was a 6-time arena champion. And game week of Arena Bowl, you're probably gonna get the best Arbet you ever get, and it's gonna be a different coach or a different game plan for that Nashville team. Uh, Coach Ware has been in this situation, but he hasn't been in a situation like Coach Arbet. Coach Arbet knows every scenario that can happen, everything that happens. And when you say he had the kickers out there hour early, one thing Arbet drives on is special teams. So I think that's where the game's gonna come down to: special teams. Who plays the best, who converts the most on third and fourth down. And if Albany gets complacent, like I really honestly think last year, Albany got complacent in the Arena Bowl, and that's why the game was the way it was, because I think they should have beat Billings. I think they had a chance to beat Billings. I think they just got lackadaisical at the end of the season, and the drive in there wasn't there no more because of how the season went. But Anthony, I will say, if this was last year and we had a full season and every team made it, I think the Iowa Rampage, we would have won the Arena Bowl. We would have ran the table on everybody. We had the best roster, the best staff. And take heed with our staff. When we really played, we were undefeated.
Music's my ears, Coach B. I appreciate the nice talk of Coach Arbet because I got to witness it last week in person, and I don't think he cracked a smile, but maybe one time. He's all business, and he is. I love it.
I think if the only time you get worried about getting cut is playoffs and championship week with our bet. Any little thing you do, you can get cut. So he's a real stickler. He plays by the rules. He makes sure everything. But Coach, don't. I played for Coach Ware before. Coach Ware is no slouch, and Coach Ware has probably the best setup out of any organization out there in Albany. That ownership group is like amazing, man. And to be able to do what he's doing in New York with an arena football team and be successful, you can't take that away from Albany. And just the talent caliber they bring in and year out, it's hard to compete or go against that because they bring in the best of the best and they gonna play the best of the best every week.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the game of the way this game shook out is probably two of the most talented rosters on paper in the league. I mean, there's no doubt about that. As well as two of the most tenured coaches in the league as far as arena style football. So, I think we're in for a treat today because I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I think it's going to be some of the most exciting football that we've watched from this league all season long. If I'm being honest, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in this game. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Nashville, but like Coach B just said, we're talking about a multi-time or multi-championship winner back in the AFL in the original arena-style football. So I don't think that he's somebody that we should be dismissing so quickly, and especially with this roster. Tyler Kolka's played amazing. Their defense has been unbelievable, especially that front three. They're nasty. So definitely excited to see what the game holds tonight. But Krish, do you have any thoughts, questions?
Yeah, he's an Albany fan.
Well, no, I'm not. I mean, I can't be a fan of a team that has the highest payroll. But no, I mean, look, I think the reality is that no, we're not even gonna start this. Not
Chris.
even gonna start.
It.
Not even gonna
You
start
opened up the door for it. You know what I have
this. Nah.
to say.
But okay, I was talking to my boy, Coach AP, yesterday, the real assistant coach of the year. Not no Shaq from Southwest, Mr. 55 points per game the last 3 games. Nah, my boy, Coach AP, really deserved that assistant coach of the year. But we were talking, man, and him and his boys are locked in. I mean, that coaching staff is insane. They got Coach Lachlan, obviously he spent time in the NFL, Coach Foster, he's been a head coach, Coach Payton, he was a head coach with us here at Matt. And obviously Coach Arbet. You got 4 head coaches on staff, right? And I saw the way that team came to media day. All the players, the way they move were so professional. They were seated in order, position. Everything about that team looked like a really well-run, well-oiled operation. Like they expected to be there. And I'm really happy that Nashville made it because we get to see the 2 best teams. Man, we don't see one team with an inherent culture problem, players running around the field acting like they own the coach, versus a Nashville team that's disciplined, appropriate, and holds themselves to a high standard. So I'm really glad we get 2 of the best teams. But, man, I think
it's a good thing Massachusetts isn't in the AF1, right?
Chris is getting me hyped right now, man. Keep going.
I mean, look, what you said about Gunnar Rayborn, Ryan, earlier, right? Like, yes, he's inconsistent. I mean, John Henry now, man, he's one of the best kickers. Obviously, he was with us last year. He's one of the best kickers I've ever seen in arena indoor football. So, the advantage they have with him, the Albany team at full health with Derek Jones coming back off IR, Harold Love coming back from suspension. It's hard, man. I think today is the day we see is Tyler Kolka really ready for that next level of football, for the UFL, CFL. He's going against the outdoor type defense. That defense is like a UFL defense, CFL defense. And so I'm excited to see, man. I got Albany by 11 points, though. I think Albany got this. I think Castranova's going to win championship MVP. And I think he's going to solidify himself as the greatest indoor arena quarterback of all time. So I got Albany.
I respect it.
I think it's gonna come down to the who has the best D line play and special teams. Watch.
If that's
Can we
the
talk
case,
just for a minute? Can we say Tyler Kolka, and I'm not biased right here, but his stat line was not talked about enough for his first year as a quarterback in the indoor game. I mean, 2 interceptions through 10 games. Thought that was a heck of a stat. He had over 30 touchdowns through the air. No, he's not much of a runner, but I mean, he was very consistent this year. The guy comes from the Japan League. He's an outdoor football player. He's literally never had one snap of indoor football in his life. So it was a total transition this year. And I think that, I mean, it took me by surprise watching week 0 when we played Southwest Kansas and we had Jake Dunaway and we had Corey Curtis. It was a nightmare. It was a complete nightmare. I remember watching that game and going, what the heck are we in for this season? And then, when Colca comes over and takes over, it's just been smooth sailing. Yes, we've lost 3 games this year during the regular season. We lost twice to Albany and we lost to the Storm. 2 great teams. You got Jalen Morton, who, is rookie, or is he rookie of the year, right? Rookie of the year? Yes. You got Jalen Morton, who's a complete stud. He gets called up to Birmingham halfway through the season, then he, goes back to the Storm, but he's still a heck of a ball player. And then you got Sam Casanova, and, words can't even describe how good Sam is. He's a winner. That's what it comes down to. But I really think that Colca wasn't, his stat line wasn't talked about enough. I got to meet him last week. Heck of a guy, heck of a player. His family's great. And I just think that he's going to take a lot of people by surprise today. And he makes good decisions, and he's very smart with the ball.
I think Tyler Colca not getting Rookie of the Year nomination, and they put Dalton Cole. Like, I respect the hell out of Dalton Cole, but 20 interceptions in 12 games, and here's
Thank you.
Tyler. Like, that's crazy, man. But I don't know.
Krish.
I have no idea.
Hey, we got Ryan's new nickname, Ryville. That's Ryville right now.
All right.
Look, I love the Cats, man. I bleed blue and yellow, man. Like, it's claws out over here. Woke up this morning super hyped for the game, man. They treat me like family. They let me down on the field last week. Got to meet all the guys. Got to meet Coach Arbette. It's a great organization over there, and I'm here for the ride, man.
Absolutely. As you can see, the stat line for Tyler Colca on the screen: 62.5% completion rate, 31 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1,700 passing yards. And then last week, 18 of 21 for 5 touchdowns, 250 passing yards, 0 interceptions. About as good of a game as you can possibly have indoors. Honestly, just
sounds like a little bit of Colca-mania to me.
Yeah, but now looking at those stats, I'm surprised why wasn't he nominated for Rookie of the Year? 2 interceptions.
Thank you.
That's crazy.
Thank you. Makes
we'll
0
do a
sense,
correct
man.
He damn near had 65% completion percentage for the whole season.
Can I also add one more thing? So Sean Lewis, our DB, he led the entire AF1 in interceptions. He's guarding the number 1 receiver on every team of every game, and he led the league in interceptions and didn't even get nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. So I also thought that was kind of, a little whack. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to win it, but, we didn't really have anybody nominated for anything. So that was kind of a shocker to me.
That guy in Southwest is a absolute beast. He's
I
a
love
monster.
Michael Lawson, bro. I love
He's
him.
a monster.
Look, I got to watch him last game when Southwest Kansas was down on themselves. They weren't even talking to each other, man. The bench was completely separated. Michael Lawson got them all together, got them in a group, and was chewing them out, getting them motivated. He did not want to go home. He did not want to lose. He was the clear leader of that team, whether it be defense or offense, and it was phenomenal to see.
I think Lawson got the nod over your guy out there in Nashville because Lawson's picks came at crucial moments in every game, and they were game changers.
Right.
And I mean, he does it week in, week out, just like your guy. But those crucial moments, those big time plays, those big time interceptions, that's Lawson. That kid never sways away from the spotlight.
True dog, and true professional.
I mean, Lawson, man, I wish there was more players like that on Southwest Kansas, man. He represents what it means to be a true professional. Maybe he can go give a class and teach some of the other guys on the team how to act pro. So,
yeah.
Not today, Krish. Not today. Any other thoughts on the AF1 championship before we move on to other AF1 topics?
I just want to say thanks, guys, for having me on. It meant a lot to me. I look forward to this, and I will end it by saying claws out all the way, and I'm hoping for a competitive game. And I'm not just wearing a jersey, man. I also got the Cats are back. Come on, I'm full. I'm bleeding it today, man. Woke up ready for this. Let's go.
Well, I mean, you guys are more than welcome to stick around for the other topics. I mean, for AF1, I mean, I'm sure everybody saw the news over the past couple of days that there's going to be some expansion in the AF1. Jeff Fisher apparently came out and said at the Media Day event that we are adding teams in Michigan and Ohio for 2026. And to my understanding, that's on top of Stockton and perhaps some other teams that had announced that they would be back for 2026 as well. So, what are you guys' thoughts about those two markets in particular? And we'll go to Anthony first here.
So, I mean, I think this is good for, I guess, the Eastern teams, especially after the past 2 years where it was mainly, well, Orlando was, I guess, Eastern too, but it was still Albany and Nashville mainly. And Albany is kind of like the Seattle of, like, I guess, like all like the pro sports because it's so far away from everyone else, but like, I guess the California teams because there's no one over here in the East. And when Wilkes-Barre was gone, it was kind of like it sucked because I would have probably gone to the Wilkes-Barre game and probably eaten at the Waffle House in like Scranton or Wilkes-Barre. I don't know. But hearing that we have Ohio and Michigan, I mean, it's not like a bordering state. It'll be a decent drive, like 6-7 hours, but it'll be better for us locally, and I think that the new expansion teams, if they work out, because a lot of troubles happened, it's just I'm excited for it. I just hope that they can just not die immediately because we don't have enough money to run football team. So yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I just hope that they have the right ownerships in place for these two teams.
I agree, and that's honestly going to be the huge key right here: is who's running these organizations, where are they coming from, are they brand new teams, etc. Ryan, what are your thoughts on the expansion teams?
I agree with Anthony. The one thing I will say before we get into the Ohio and Michigan team is I love Stockton. I'm behind them. I'm supporting them. Just stop at the AI. But other than that, moving over to the Michigan and Ohio expansions, I'm full on board with it. I think I watched an interview with Steve Titus about a couple weeks ago where he said that they have a new plan implemented into the AF1 to where it is fail-proof, to where a team, they will not, bring on any expansion teams that have any possibility of failing. Now, how true that is, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that's the case. And I think the more for the league, the better, but don't take on too much too fast. I think someone was saying in the chat the other day, 2 teams a year would be great. But don't try to do 4 to 5 to 6 every single year. Do what you can. Make sure you can structure the teams that are actually in the AF1. Like Washington, they're already selling tickets for 2026, but they need a lot of change, in that program. So if I'm the AF1, I'm looking to them like, okay, these guys are loyal. They've been with us, from the inaugural season. What can we do to step up the player talent in Washington and possibly even the coaching staff? I mean, I'm not saying anything negative about the guys over there, but something's got to change. You don't want to watch. The AF1 doesn't want to be remembered as 88 to 12 victories or 100 to 12 victories. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't look good. You want competitive ball games. You want the talent to be there. I just think the AF1 needs to look at the teams that they have already this year, try to get everybody as on board as they can, or, just on the same page and add teams slowly. But like I said, don't try to take on too much at once because it will come back to bite you. And we've seen it before.
Absolutely. Chris Dodson tuning in says, looking forward to the expansion teams. We're moving up that way, so my broadcast team, the Southern Sports Network, will be ready to take on broadcast duties. Thanks for tuning in, Chris. We appreciate it. Ryan, I have to ask, a very prominent member of the Nashville Cats happens to be from Michigan. Does that give you any pause when you see that a Michigan expansion team is coming?
So I did, yeah. Yesterday you read my mind when I saw that. First thing I thought of was Kolka. And me and his dad, Jim, are really close. Shout out Jim. He's a big supporter of my Twitter and everything. And he's very involved in Tyler's life. And he actually drove 12 hours last weekend and got to see Tyler's first professional game of his career. It was his first professional game that he got to see his son play. And it was great. Tyler put on a heck of a performance. And it was great to see. But would I blame Tyler for maybe possibly jumping ship and going to a Michigan team to where his family and his friends can watch him weekly? No, I understand it. But would I hate to lose him? Would Nashville/Clarksville be very upset? Yes. Like, we ride behind Tyler Kolka. Kolkamania is everywhere out there. Like, I was in Clarksville last weekend, and I can't even explain it to you guys enough. They want that team there. There are keep the cat signs everywhere. The fandom is crazy. People are eat, sleeping, and breathing football. You have throwback Cats jerseys everywhere at the tailgate. The guys know what they're talking about. Jeff Fisher's out there talking, to every fan, taking pictures with every single person. It was just a great environment, man. And I was talking to Jim at the end about, how far of a drive it was, and, that they don't get to see Tyler as much as they can. And he did say that, if he had a chance to get Tyler a little bit closer, that they're leaning towards that.
I was going to say he played semi-professional football earlier this season with the Detroit Ravens, so it would not surprise me in the slightest to see him go back to Michigan, even if it's with the thought process of a pay cut. But Anthony, similar question to you, my friend. Sam Castronova is, for whatever reason, a question every year if he's going to return to football. He's got a family outside of football. He's accomplished quite a bit, during his short career. Do you see him returning to Albany in 2026?
I feel like I think so. I mean, I don't know if the Buffalo IFL talks are still going on, especially with what we've seen like Stevie Johnson post on Twitter, and so I guess that's more of like a non-worry. He's a damn good quarterback. It's just I feel like they need to find the guy that would replace him. So that being either, let's say, Malik Henry. We had that option for, some time. And then he went on to the CFL because he was still good. And then I feel like if Malik Henry would have played that entire year, I think the year would have looked at way differently than what we had, but that's just a tangent side point. It just depends on if they does go to, let's say, a UFL team because he's good. Like, it just depends on who's replacing him because I don't want no Jake Medlock holding on to the ball for 5-10 seconds every play, And I've said my against Jake Medlock points before, but I feel like there's a good chance that he'll probably stay, in my opinion, but I wouldn't. But he's so good. He's done this for the past, 4 years now? Like with Albany, with San Antonio. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. Well, I guess in that case I can add too that Damon Ware finds quarterbacks. If they can get McCoy back for next year, because he was very good. Like even against the bad teams, I felt like he could be a good quarterback if Sam does leave, But I feel like Castronova, I feel like he's staying. I wouldn't be surprised, but I feel like I shouldn't be worried about it at this point.
Yeah, I just want to put this out there. If he does leave, Jalen Morton will be the quarterback that they'll sign. So that's what's going to happen. Jalen Morton is not returning to Southwest Kansas. There's no way. I mean, and Michael Lawson, I think, will be a Firebird too. And I could see that whole team being Firebirds. They take all the top. That's what Coach Ware said.
We just steal all of Southwest Kansas' best players, like we did with DeLeo and Lawson Greenwood.
Yeah, that's what you do every year. I mean, you take the best players on every team and create a super team. But there's nothing wrong with that, right?
I think Krish nailed it the other day too. Like Krish said that Sam just had a kid. Like there's a possibility of retirement is there. It's not off the table. So if we do see that and he wants to spend more time with his family and his children, then I think Krish nailed it. Jalen Morton will not be back in Southwest Kansas. I watched the game last week. The chemistry's not there. It was done. I'm telling you, Krish probably nailing it on the head. I could see Coach Ware grabbing up Morton, Lawson, maybe even Keon Clary. Just grab all the good guys from Southwest Kansas and bring them on to Albany, and you got a damn good team already.
You're welcome, Albany. All the scouting work's done in Southwest Kansas for Albany. We all know that now. Anyway, it's I don't know. There was a lot covered there, but one more topic that I wanted to ask you guys about before we move on from the AF1. And I'm pulling up this picture that is on Zach Kyleman's Twitter. So, obviously, if you haven't done so already, make sure to go follow him on Twitter. This is originally a picture from Gary Compton that posted it. Obviously, you see there the trophy. What are your guys' thoughts on the trophy? Let's go to TJ first on this one.
I mean, the overall design of it I like, but at the end of the day, it was called the Arena Crown, and now they're offering a trophy. So it's kind of contradictory to the championship game's unique name, but overall, just as a standalone, I think it's pretty cool. I definitely love the arches and everything with it, but yeah, it's just all kind of confusing. And the nostalgic part of me as a longtime fan since the early 2000s kind of makes me wish that they could have figured out a way to bring back the bowl trophy. But all in all, I would definitely say it's one of the better trophies out there.
I would agree. I like it a lot. Krish, what are your thoughts on the trophy? You were there live in person to take video of it.
Yeah, also, I just want to address something. I saw the comment on our page from someone that said I didn't have a good view. I want to see what that person is. Probably, on the sofa in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, so for me, I think the trophy's amazing. And I had a great view. I'm really grateful to have front row seats yesterday. I think, obviously, look, I think sometimes you're pumping a lot of money into this league. You might not be able to spend so much money on the trophy, right? At the end of the day, the trophy's nice, but how many people will remember the trophy 5 years from now? Not a lot of people. How many people will remember the overall product of the game? A lot of people, right? So that's the most important thing about the game. So the trophy for me is cool. It's obviously they didn't spend a lot of money on it, but I think it looks good.
All right, that's fair. Let's go to Anthony next. Anthony, what are your thoughts on the trophy?
I mean, I don't like the trophy, I mean, I would say it's better than last year's Hutton Cup, but, I mean, I guess, it kinda looks a little bit better when you see it from, a side angle because the little, whatever the arms are holding up the ball, it's, more I guess, pushed out, I don't know. But, just from this view, straight on, it doesn't look good. I feel like the NAL championship looks better than that. I just don't like it. I don't think it looks that good compared to, all the other stuff. And I mean, I guess I can also add too, because I believe San Jose's old owners were at a game this year. I forget if it was Nashville, and they probably still have the Foster Trophy. I mean, I wouldn't say it's out of the possibility, but it probably won't be this year. But I mean, again, I just don't like it. It's one, not a crown. They should have just put a crown on it and called it a day. But it's just not my thing. I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. That everybody's entitled to opinion. I saw one comment which I thought was pretty funny, and I wanted to throw out there. Somebody said that they missed a perfect opportunity for a sponsorship package with Burger King had they made it a crown, which I thought was just really, really well thought out joke there. But also, I mean, to some truth to it, right? That's why it's funny. But
That made sense.
exactly. I mean, it's one game, you never know. They probably would have had some interest in sponsoring it. But Ryan, what are your thoughts on the trophy?
I mean, I agree with Anthony, and I also agree with Krish. The product on field is what's going to be remembered. Nobody's really going to look back 5 years from now and be like, "Oh, do you remember the trophy from the inaugural AF1 season?" But if I were to change anything about it, I would have implemented a crown instead of the football up top. Throw a crown up there, maybe put a football inside the crown. But you chose Arena Crown as your championship title game. I would have definitely used crown to my favor, but to each their own. And I'm just happy that we have a team getting a trophy today.
Great point. And as far as I'm concerned, after a fairly quiet season compared to last year. Coach B, what are your thoughts on the trophy before we move on here?
I'm with everybody else. it's not what I expect from a AFL or AF1 caliber trophy. You call it, you got it normally goes with the name of the title of the game. So I would have thought, just like Raville said, something bigger on the base, then have a crown on top with a football in it, and have Burger King sponsoring it,
Yeah.
because that makes sense. It's you got to when we think of a trophy and we think of AFL, AF1, whatever you want to call it, because it's still the AFL, just with a twist to it. When we think of that league, they're known for their big trophies. Their trophies always stood out. So this doesn't stand out to me, and I put that on Jerry Curse, because you represent AFL brand. You supposed to bring that back.
That's fair. That's fair. Brian Mathern says, or Crown Royal. That's another option as well. I mean, really, if you think about it, there's plenty of sponsorship options if you really thought about it. But I mean, if you wanted to add a crown, what about a crown right on top of the football?
Yeah.
I mean, like it literally, you could have just added one more piece and it would have fit fine. But I see the concerns, the confusion there for sure. But I actually like the trophy. I think it's simple, it's understated, but at the same time, it's also elegant looking. It looks to me like a professional football trophy. Is it super flashy? No, not really. But at the same time, in my opinion, nor is the Lombardi Trophy either. So, just a thought there. But any final thoughts from you, Ryan, or Anthony, on the AF1 championship game? Any of the subjects we talked about before we let you guys get out of here and commence on your championship activities?
I just want to say, everybody tune in at 10 a.m. Well, it's 10 for me. Should be 11 for you guys. Or I have it backwards. Could be 9 for me, 10 for you guys, Central Time, Eastern Time. But I know they have a pregame show. Definitely tune into that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping you guys nailed it right on the head with it being a competitive one-score game. I know Krish thinks it's going to be 11 points. He's probably right, but I'm really hoping the Cats can pull off this upset, man. And Coach Arbet's got it in the bag, and he pulls out something to just, sweep everybody off their feet. And I'm hoping for a great day for the AF1, and I'm hoping that nothing but success for the league.
It feels weird because, like, I'm going to the block party in an hour and a half. I think. So it'll be weird going there this early, for one, and two, playing a game at 1 p.m. for whatever reason. Oh, graduation. Oh, okay. I didn't put my pick for this game in yet. I was like, I wonder who's gonna win. Ooh. But I think it's obvious. I don't feel as non-confident, or at least I don't feel not confident with the hold on. I'm stuttering over my words here. I feel more confident about this game than I did last year. I think Albany's winning it. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose, but I think this is going to be historic in multiple different ways today.
I'm so excited. I spent a lot of money to get an Uber up here, but it was totally worth it. This is a really lit experience to be able to, be up here and see how y'all run your program. This is 1A. This is the top tier of arena football. Obviously my Mass Pirates are indoor football, cream of the crop. But for arena football, AFL style, I wouldn't be surprised if you gave me a crystal ball and said what two teams are going to be in the championship next year. I would say Nashville and Albany right now, because top tier players want to play for top tier coaching staffs that have culture, that have obviously good money and everything. So I'm so excited. I think this shows our sport is making progress as a whole.
All right. Any other final thoughts from anybody before we transition over to IFL?
Last thing I want to say before I go is just thanks. Shout out to you guys for having me on. Shout out to Shady Sports Network. Love what you guys do over there. Love the passion that you guys have for arena football and just football in general. Coach B, Anthony, even though I got to go against you today, it's nothing but love. TJ, Sam, Krish, I keep doing what you're doing. I really respect you guys a lot and appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. Hope to have you back in the near future. Maybe even next week for, discussing your championship win. We'll see how things go.
Just let me know, Sam. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Anthony, thank you as well for all your time and effort coming on this morning. I think this is the third or fourth time you've been on, and I'm positive it won't be the last. So thank you once again for coming on. I hope you enjoy the championship game today. And yeah, something tells me we might be discussing a Firebirds win next week. So we'll see.
Who knows? I mean, again, could be anyone. It's going to be a game of turnovers. I feel like special teams will be a big factor too, but like I'm only saying that because you have John Henry Nell against Rayborn, but it's mainly going to be a game of turnovers here. Whoever turns the ball over first might lose the game. I don't know. So
Yeah,
I guess one last thing is just go Birds. We'll see you later tonight, 1 p.m. on Vice. I just sponsored Vice on a YouTube live stream. What a world we live in.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? All right. On that note, we're going to hit a quick commercial. We'll come back with the IFL. Thank you once again to Albany Defense Kid, also known as This Week in Arena Football, or Arena Ball, on Twitter. So go follow him as well, and make sure you keep up to date on his YouTube channel as well. And we will go ahead and slide over to the IFL. Thank you again, Anthony. All right. Quick commercial, and then we'll be right back to discuss some IFL transaction topics and maybe a couple games as well. TJ, real quick before you get out of here, man, I wanted to get your thoughts on one subject, and then we'll let you run. Were you surprised to see Drew Powell return?
Yes and no. I mean, he is he's an all-pro quarterback, has a lot of championship caliber. So honestly, no. Gamers always come back, especially with teams he's been formerly associated with. So not a big surprise, and as usual, just another chess move while everyone else is playing checkers for Arizona potentially.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you once again for coming on, TJ. Really appreciate your time today. Wish this show wouldn't run so long all the time, so you could be on start to finish. But I know you got some other responsibilities to take care of.
Yeah, having a family is a big thing. Majority of us know that. So, but as always, thank you everyone for watching. Championship
Appreciate
game
you,
AF1.
TJ.
Absolutely. And my pick for today's game, before I go, I'm going with my heart, and I'm going with nostalgia, and I'm picking the underdogs and the Cats.
Did I have for y'all? TJ kind of hit on it, but did you see my question I have for y'all? TJ kind of hit on it. Do you think Vice was the best viable option for them to air the Arena Crown game? I think Evergreen would have been a better option, or YouTube, just for the fans and the viewership to get your numbers up.
Nah, I like Vice TV. Vice TV is a good ass setup because like CBS Sports Network would cost way too much. YouTube, you risk copyright, right? With the IFL's issue, especially for a big game like that. You already know the people at YouTube are gonna be like vultures, and they might take that thing down quick. So, I mean, I honestly think it was a good move. I love Vice TV. They do a great job over there.
Sorry, what was that, Coach? You were muted.
I said, you don't think Evergreen was better because you get more viewers than Vice, because everybody's not paying for Vice.
I'm on with the thought process that you might get more casuals on Vice. It just depends on the day and the time. And I am concerned about the timing of this game. I'm not going to lie about that. That 1 p.m. start time is kind of tough. So I guess we'll see how things go. Brian mentions that Vice is on Hulu. Evergreen is not. So a lot of people do have access to Vice and may not even realize it. So there is that part of it. But it'll be interesting to see if they put out any sort of viewership numbers on this game. I know they put them out for a couple weeks, but I didn't see them every week for some reason. So I'm curious to see if they put them out for this one. But TJ, thank you again, man. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week.
Absolutely. Sam, Krish, Coach. Have a good week, guys.
Definitely. Have a good one. Vice is fine in order to keep them happy, and that might parlay into Vice's wiki.
What?
If you want to elaborate on that, that would be great. Yeah, getting back to the IFL transactions, there's a couple on here that are fairly shocking. We already mentioned the Drew Powell move. Krish, were you surprised to see Drew Powell come back?
Yeah, I put it in our chat last night. I was surprised because I saw Dalton Snead in the promotional material for this week's game. I figured he's still going to be the starter, but having Drew Powell back is huge. I mean, one of my boys is boys with Drew Powell, and he said that, like, Drew Powell says he's, like, coaching with Arizona. So he was just committed to coaching. So he was looking at returning to playing, but I think the spots he wanted to go to weren't open. So, yeah, I'm just excited to see Drew Powell back.
That's fair. There was actually quite a few interesting moves by Arizona, but I wanted to highlight one other one. Jake Oliphant. He was one of the linemen on that championship Beaumont Renegades team, signed with Arizona immediately after, and he's already been released, which I thought was surprising. He's a pretty solid offensive lineman, but apparently Arizona, for whatever reason, decided to move on from him. Then the big move that really kind of shook up the indoor football world. Sorry, what was that, Coach?
Tua. That
Yeah.
was a shocking sign.
Talia Tagovailoa, the brother of
Yeah.
signed with Massachusetts Pirates. Slightly surprising. He was in the European League of Football a couple weeks ago with Hamburg, I think it was, the Hamburg Sea Devils. He was only there for like 2 weeks and then was released or parted ways with the team. Now he's in Massachusetts, presumably to start as the backup to Kenji Bahar, but we'll see how long that lasts. Jovan Tucker is the man released. They also let go of Felix Harper, who is now with the Fishers Freight, which is another move to watch. Felix Harper has previously played for Dixie Wooten in Bay Area. He knows the offense. He can come in right away and make an impact. But they also released Shane Simpson, brought in Josiah King, and moved Carlos Davis to short-term IR. So a lot of moves in there for Fishers as well. Coach, what are your thoughts on Felix Harper joining Fishers Freight?
That was shocking to me. I'm like, man, they are really shaking it up out here. I think Fisher is just trying to find their way, find their niche to get back to what they originally supposed to start it. But I think that was a good signing for them. What happened to Espinoza?
Nothing happened. I think
Okay.
Harper just came available, and Wooten knows him well, and Carlos Davis was hurt, so it just, I think timing just worked out for everybody.
I see Brandon Munez got hurt, man. That's messed up because he had a great year in the NAL this year.
Yes, he did, and then turned around, jumped in with Jacksonville, and seems to have been playing pretty well himself as well. Oh, my mistake. Jake Oliphant returned to Arizona like a day later, playing all sorts of roster gymnastics down there in Arizona, apparently. Moving on to the Tulsa situation, TJ Edwards, as we know, real quick, shout out to TJ Edwards, man. Prayers for you. I hope you heal quickly and you're able to return back to the field as soon as you possibly can. So sorry to see that you got injured. I am actually shocked to see that he was placed on short-term IR. I assumed that was season ending. Some people have already said that it might be career-ending for him, depending on how things go. He might opt to retire. Tulsa brings in Kobe Gatson. This is already his third football team in like 2 months' time. Was originally with the Eau Claire.
Kobe Gatson. Out of all the players, you bring in Kobe Gatson.
I mean, he was available. There's that.
There's a lot of guys available.
Hey, I was a little surprised by it as well. I imagine he's going there to be the backup. They've got Hassan Rogers there, who's probably going to transition out of being the starting running back and be more focused on, playing quarterback. But also something that snuck under the radar real quick. Faison McClurge was signed by the UFL once again. So that's like the third time he's bounced on or off a UFL roster, and it's right in the middle of the season when the UFL is not even playing. So interesting move there for Faison, who's basically going to give up the rest of his IFL season to join a UFL team next year. So that's kind of an interesting facet there. As he just lost his quarterback as well, somebody he knows well from Frisco. So yeah, just kind of interesting there. But yeah, as far as bringing in Kobe Gatson, he was with the Eau Claire Axemen. I jumped over, was playing with Washington Wolfpack for a little bit, and now he's in Tulsa. Krish, what are your thoughts on Gatson being signed by Tulsa?
Yeah, I think people are overlooking the fact that TJ Edwards trains Kobe Gatson in the offseason. So Kobe Gatson is one of TJ Edwards' clients. So that's just TJ putting his guy on and giving him another opportunity. Do I think he deserves another opportunity? I'm not. I think, you need to really feel out the quarterback market, right? You need to go and you need to do recruiting, scouting. That's what, scouting. Where it's, I don't know, man. I feel like that was the easy way out. But it's what it is. I mean, obviously with TJ, man, that was really sad to see last week. It's horrifying being there. Those players on that team love him. And I think a guy like Faison McClurge, he might not want to risk his health running around if it's not for TJ. A lot of guys on that team, they went for Andre Coles, but they also went for TJ. And they were even saying that. I was talking to a couple guys, they're like, the only reason we came back to IFL in Tulsa is because of TJ. And now he's gone. It's hard. So, my boy Hassan Rogers is very capable of leading a team. I don't want people to forget that he was a top 5 IFL quarterback last year towards the end of the season. So, we have to wait and see. But dark time in Tulsa, I feel like.
Yeah, that's definitely not a great loss by any stretch, and you're definitely not wrong. Faison did not sign with Tulsa until basically I think the same day TJ returned to the IFL. So that's definitely a factor on his decision making, I imagine. And like you said, you watch somebody you're very close with go down with an injury that could potentially be, season ending, could potentially be a year worth of rehab. And maybe you don't think that's worth it. You want to ultimately be healthy to go back outdoors. That's the whole hope for him. So I kind of understand that thought process a little bit more given the injury to TJ. You have to sit there and witness that and then still keep playing and knowing that you're playing for, a fraction of the money you'll make outdoors.
I also want to bring up a point. I think Tulsa put him on short-term IR because I think they're out of long-term IR spots. I'm pretty sure in the IFL you can only get 2 to 3 long-term IR spots, and Calvin Bundage and Kayshawn Allen are already on long-term IR, and I think one more DB for them is. So I think they had to put him. No, Jimmy Smith, the running back for Tulsa, he got hurt in preseason, right? So he's on long-term IR. So I don't think they had another spot to put him on.
Gotcha. That explains a lot. Moving over to the Iowa Barnstormers, they made a handful of moves here. They brought in Angelo Gross, DeMonte Martin at defensive back and wide receiver, Ja'Cory Benjamin, another defensive back. They lost Hunter Clausen to IR. They cut Travis J, Isaac Duffy, and Darian Conrad. Conrad was only there for a week, I believe, so I think that's the 4th different team he's been let go by this season alone. So that's a tough year for anybody. Then moving on to the mass moves here, which this move right here, Isaiah Coulter being released, was surprising to me. Krish, do you have any insight on that move?
Yeah, he wasn't put on the team website as being released. I know, obviously, I think everyone knows he sustained an injury during the season, and I think he was placed on long-term IR. So that just might be, releasing guys so they can go home off long-term. I don't think that's anything. I don't think Isaiah will be able to play the rest of the year anyway, and we're already set at receiver. So
That makes sense. And then also Monty Montgomery let go at linebacker. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys just brought in a linebacker like last week, correct?
no, we're not. I think we're last game they had obviously Marquise Waters, one of the top linebackers in the IFL. I think because I was looking at the roster and the way he wants to construct it going forward, I think he wants to have two running backs active, right? And Matt Elam has experience playing linebacker too, so it just makes sense to not have not have two active linebackers and use a DB and a linebacker hybrid instead.
Interesting. I thought that was a little bit more prevalent in the AF1 due to the fact that more passing, but it'll be interesting to see how their defense looks the rest of the way. Coach, any thoughts on any of those moves we highlighted right quick before we move on?
Nah, not for me. I was just looking at this. It's so late in the season, you still put up a RTR in AZ. You're not even going to the playoffs, so why even put him on RTR?
Yeah, that is a little bit odd. I thought that was kind of confusing
That,
myself, but
that goes back to what I was saying. You get these old school coaches in here, and they try to block players from going and doing certain stuff because they're mad at them. So, like this, you're already in the season. You're not going to ever make the playoffs. Why would you put somebody on RTR just to be spiteful on me?
I think the way they did Ramon Atkins last week was crazy. So, for those who don't know, Ramon Atkins is the highest paid player in Northern Arizona. I don't know if any of you know that. That's confirmed by multiple sources. They had him on the bench until they were down 27-3, and he came in and threw 5 touchdowns. I'm like, why are you trying to prove a point? You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. Ramona Atkins has put great all year. 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns. I don't know, man. They also have a coaching problem, and they need to figure it out because that coaching staff, I'm not impressed at all. Coach B, I have to give you credit, man. You said Coach James is going to have trouble in the indoor game because it's different. And I think you were right, honestly.
definitely no doubting that at this point. Um, if someone doesn't want to be there, just let them leave and establish a culture of we will win with who wants to be there. Wise words from a man who knows all too well how to do it. So definitely makes sense to approach it that way. I would say that I know from what I understand, and I could be wrong on this fact, somebody can correct me in the chat if this is not accurate, but I do know that RTR is fairly easy to reverse. So maybe this is a situation where the player needed to go home for a family situation or something like that. And this is their way of keeping him on the roster without having to give up that roster spot for him. Just a thought. I don't know. I don't have any insight onto why they made that decision. So, I mean, interesting decision overall. Like Coach B said, very late in the season for us to be putting players on RTR, but it is what it is, I suppose.
I gotta say this though: when Jamal Couch left Northern Arizona to go to TAL in Duluth, I'm like, okay, there has to be issues in Northern Arizona. He's the first active IFL player to leave to go to TAL. I was shocked when I saw that.
Are we sure that's an issue with Naz, or is that maybe a pay discrepancy?
I mean, maybe it's pay, but it's also IFL. I know we had Coach Tony on, right? He talked about the IFL being the #1 league, but I feel like Duluth could compete with some of these other teams, in terms of the situation wise.
Yeah, I think Duluth is set up pretty well. I think a lot of players vibe with Tony O'Neill because of the way he approaches coaching. I think players kind of like his fire, much like they probably like the same thing about Coach B down here. So Honestly, it makes a lot of sense why you might make that jump, especially if you're on a team like Naz, where you know your season is most likely going to end without a playoff berth. You know it's going to be over soon. I could understand, transitioning over to the TAL and trying to give yourself another opportunity to look good around a lot of other high caliber playmakers, but then also potentially have some winning. So I
And
can
they
kind
gotta
of
give that
understand
boy.
it.
They gotta give that boy Cy Burley the boot, man. I'm sorry, Cy Burley has been terrible play caller all year, and I don't even know why Cy Burley. You could have got Peyton Riggs from Sioux Falls. They should have hired him. You know what I mean? Like, he has experience. He was the good OC. He's young. He new ideas, but like Coach B, we both know they don't like to give young coaches opportunities anymore. So
If you're a coach like us, who's outspoken, who's not afraid to speak your mind and do it the right way, because we've been players, it's kind of hard for you to get into the realm of the coaching culture because it's a good old boys club.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit, but I think there might be an external factor here with Peyton Riggs. I mean, we're talking about the son of the most decorated indoor football league coach in history of the league, right? So maybe there's a little bit of looking over your shoulder there by a coach. I mean, unless you're a very established head coach, do you really want to bring in a guy who could potentially be your replacement next season?
but like
I
Peyton got a lot out of Zoe Brown.
That may be the case, but again, coaches have to factor in multiple different things when it comes to hiring their staff. And Krish, I know you've heard these rumors because I've heard the same thing multiple times over, but there are coaches out here that will undermine you the day they get hired as a coordinator. They will come in and their entire sole purpose will be to, how do I get this head coach fired and take his job? Not saying that's how Peyton Riggs is. For the record, I do not know Peyton Riggs at all, but there is that factor. So I know a lot of coaches. That's part of the reason why they'll lean on people they know, because hey, I can trust this guy. I know how he operates. The devil I know is better than the devil I don't in this situation, because I know he's going to come in, he's going to support me, he's not going to try and take my job or undermine me behind the scenes. Whereas, with a guy who's brand new, who likely has aspirations of being a head coach at some point, I could see some concerns that might be the fact with a big name like Peyton Riggs in particular. But not to say he isn't qualified or that he shouldn't be there or that he is a bad guy or anything like that. I don't know Peyton Riggs, so just saying that might be a factor in some of that decision making there.
I just think NAZ need to reevaluate their whole coaching situation, top to bottom. And just to reiterate back on, I had jumped off. RTR is refusal to report. That's like coaches use that to get back at players, and that's like a suspension for them. So it's not where you can hold them off. That's actually a suspension.
Yeah,
It's
it is, but it
it's
can be
either way.
reversed.
It's either way though. Like, if a player doesn't want to show up, that's also on them. So like, you never know why. I mean,
If you
Kieran,
don't want to show up, then you don't put him. You just take him off your roster, throw away the contract. There's no point of putting him on refusal to report. This is arena league. This ain't the NFL.
I know, but Kieran Page is one of their better DBs. So when I see him refuse to report, I think either, like Shady said, family issue at home, or just done with the season. I mean, a lot of guys, they don't want to
Or
put
if
their
you don't
bodies
want to
at
play
risk.
for the coaching.
It could be. It could be. There's a lot of factors there that could be factoring into why he left the team, and honestly, it could be nothing at all. It could be that he just honestly is ready to shut it down for the year, and he's banged up or whatever it may be. But honestly, rather than sit here and speculate on that, I mean, I think it's probably a good time to move on and do some betting before we get into the NAL, because the NAL is probably the one of the bigger subjects today.
I got a quick question. I've been hearing rumors. I want to ask you guys. I've been hearing about an expansion team in St. Louis for the AF1. Is that true?
I haven't heard anything like that, and I would be surprised given the fact that Coach Fisher just mentioned publicly that they're bringing in 2 expansion franchises, that he didn't mention that. St. Louis is a big market to get, especially in arena football.
That St. Charles Arena is sitting empty, ready for somebody to take over. I think that's the perfect prime market. AF1 needs to get more in the Midwest. Either Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago needs a team. I don't feel like we're AFL anything or AF1 anything without a Chicago and Kansas City team or Missouri team.
Chicago's probably a pretty pricey market to operate in for what that's worth. But I agree. I mean, I would love to see the Rush come back. I would love to see, some of these other teams come back, in KC and stuff like that. But it's got to make sense too. That's the thing at the end of the day. I think they have to learn from their mistakes over the past couple of years. It's great to go out and be like, hey, we're the AFL in 2024. We're going to have teams in Boise, Idaho, and Denver, Colorado, and all these different cities that never even came to fruition. It's a lot more difficult to find the proper ownership groups and stuff like that, as I'm sure you know better than I do, honestly. But I think that's probably
St. Louis rather than Kansas City. St. Louis is a prime spot, and a lot of people here might bite my head because I'm a Kansas Cityan, but St. Louis gravitates more to their sports than Kansas City does, and they invest more into their sports.
Dorsey Golston says keep AF1 away from KC, man, and laughs. Coach Golston, we would love to have you on this program sometime. So please shoot me a DM, Sam Shady on Facebook, and we would love to get you on here.
I told him we need to get him on, Sam. We just got to get his timing right and get him on the show.
Hey, I reached out to him, never got a reply. It's okay. I know a lot of these messages sit in the request box forever until you have a friend request or whatever, but would love to speak with you, Coach. You're always welcome on.
Nah,
Tell me
that's my
when.
boy. That's my boy. We got to get him on for sure.
Yeah, tell me, and I'll make sure Dorsey's on here.
Sounds great. He is welcome on any week he wants to come. And actually, I'm just saying, Coach, other than Coach B, we don't have another TAL guest scheduled next week. So if you'd like to come on next week, there's more than enough availability and room for you whenever you would like to come on. But let's go ahead and transition over to the betting segment, and we'll go ahead and do the IFL first since we were just talking IFL, and then we will go ahead and transition over to the AF1.
Back it up, Chris. Think he gonna get me this week, Sam?
Oh yeah. Love it. All right, let me pull up these bets real quick, and then we'll go from there. So, Krish, why don't you go ahead and kick us off this?
All right, so Jacksonville and Iowa. Give me Jacksonville minus. Actually, give me Iowa plus 14.5. Home dogs. And yeah, just give me the under in that game. Massachusetts versus Quad City. Yet again, we're underdogs, man. Look. I love all these people in the industry. Trey, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to all these guys who want to come out of the wood when we sign Tulia, right? All you guys want to come out and act like you're fans, bro. Stay in your fucking lane. It's too late. All right? These boys ain't ready for us, man. We got the best defense in the IFL. Check the stats. I said that when we were 2-5. We're about to run a train on these boys, and they're not ready. All right, so we're going into Chicago. We're leaving that place in flames, and we're coming home with a W. Give me Massachusetts money line every day, all day, and all the time.
Oh my God!
Let's go, baby. Indy
Krish,
and
buddy.
Yeah.
You really got to watch the analogies that you throw out there. Some of them are really, really bad. I'm just saying.
I don't got no fear, man. Like Corey Ross, if he got a problem, he can pull up to my house. But hey,
I'm not saying it's offensive. I'm just last week it was we're gonna oil them up. This week we're gonna run a train on them. Come on, man.
Oil them up. Ask Marvin, bro. Ask Marvin what happened last week. Yeah, all right, we're about to run a train on them. So anyway, give me Indy. Indy plus 8.5. They're sleeping on Indy, especially with that new lineup. Bay Area, man, 17 is crazy, man. That's crazy. Ron James, 17.5 is crazy. Give me Nads plus 17.5. And Green Bay and Arizona. See, this is where I know these people don't do any research when they don't have a spread. Give me Arizona money line all day, man. I think Arizona got that in the bag. But yeah, those are my picks for this week. But yeah, make sure man, we're the dog. We're my dog of the week, man. We were my dog for the last 4 weeks, and then Yeah, but I appreciate you tuning in, Fred. They just love to sleep on us. I got to back up my boys. Even Shady, man, he shits on us all the time. Even though I feel Southwest Kansas enough
I'm
love.
sorry.
But
I'm sorry. What?
I
Back
put my
up. You do
glasses
what
down,
with
fellas.
Southwest Kansas?
I put my glasses down when he said that.
I give you guys criticism when you deserve it. But,
No, no, no,
Coach,
no, 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 no. Not gonna take that one. You literally will take every opportunity. We won't even be talking about the AF1, and you will find a way to wrap in a negative comment about Southwest Kansas. So I don't want to hear it. You could twist that however you want, buddy. I only say stuff about Mass when I'm provoked, and you know that's true. And you do this stuff on purpose to try and create that controversy between us every week. That's
I
why
got you.
I'm not
You
doing it
know,
today.
I got you, man. It's all respect. We can run a train on you too, so don't sleep. All right.
Oh wow.
Um, ain't nobody running a train on me, buddy. I'm way out here in Colorado. I'm pretty busy for the rest of the day. Just saying, no time for any trains here. But yeah, let's jump over to the AF1 championship game. What are your thoughts on this one, Krish?
Ooh, what's the spread? 8.5. Okay, so I like Albany, man, -8.5. I said it earlier. My boy Coach Ware. I talked to Coach Ware yesterday. Coach Ware is Bill Belichick, man. Like, he gives me those vibes. He's a great dude. I've known him for a while, so finally good to meet him in person. He's about to get a ring. I saw my boy Kenny Veal for Nashville walk me out. Talk to him a little bit, but I told him I'll see you after. You get this ring for the Cats, but I would mind to you, Kenny. You guys have no chance. All right, so give me Albany. Give me Albany by 11 points, man. I'm so good on Albany, and give me the over 87.5.
I could definitely
Oh,
say
oh my God.
over.
Good job, Chris.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good there. I personally think the spread makes a lot of sense. I do think that ultimately Nashville will keep this within 1 point or a one-score game. So personally, if I was betting, I'd probably bet on Nashville with the points. But again, that's me. Also, notice that right now there are 0 bets on anything in this game. So as of right now, there's no corresponding bet. There's not even a way to bet in this game currently because of the fact that this is a peer-to-peer betting system. So that is one thing that we've been harping on all season long. I'm not going to spend any more time saying that this needs to be improved upon by the league. But Coach, what are your thoughts on this game?
It's gonna be a good one. I do think if we see the Albany we saw all season, they come in tuned in. It's lights out. I think I'm gonna take Albany by 14. But I do think Nashville's gonna make it a game. If Nashville don't play a perfect game, then I say Albany by 7 points.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. In that case, we are going to transition over to the NAL. But first, before we do that, one more commercial break, and then we got a lot to talk about with the NAL. Some great topics, some exciting topics, in my personal opinion. So stick with us for that because there's quite a bit coming still.
Get in the game at BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Over 50 sports, live betting, online casino, horse racing, esports, and more. Start now and enjoy easy deposits, fastest payouts, and the biggest bonuses. And for over 25 years, BetUS is a name you can trust. Mention TV 150 now and get up to 150% in bonuses. BetUS, we've got your game. Call or visit betus.com now to join.
Wanted to highlight this comment real quick. I love Colca and I like Nashville, but I got Firebirds by 2 or more touchdowns if we are betting. I don't see anyone stopping Coach Ware and the Firebirds. You heard it here first. Don't be surprised if Nashville wins. I'm just saying. Don't be surprised. I'm not saying it happens. I'm just saying don't be surprised. But anyway, we're going to transition over to a pretty fun National Arena League topic. So Ricky Burtz, I want to say about a month ago at this point. It might have been a little bit longer. It might have been a little bit shorter. I apologize on this. mentioned that there should be a team announcing before the end of the month that they are going to be playing in the National Arena League in 2025 or 2026. I apologize. So we recently had the ownership group of the West Texas Warbirds on this show right here last week. So that is the speculation that I threw out there, that I believe they're going to be in the NAL again, especially after he said what he said about not being in the AF1. However, this past week, there was another team that recently started posting quite a bit and kind of popped up out of nowhere, and that is the Pueblo Punishers right here in my backyard. Very excited about that, assuming that that is 100% accurate. It's looking like the NAL will have 2 more expansion teams in 2026. So, Krish, we'll go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts on the NAL potentially adding these 2 teams in 2026? And how important do you think it was to get some playing partners down there for Beaumont that are a little bit easier travel for them?
I mean, anytime you can cut travel costs for a league like the NAL, it's huge. I'm excited for both these teams. Colorado said the Pueblo team. I do have to say the NAL loves putting teams in like ghetto areas. I'm not gonna lie, but it's fine. It's fine. I think. Look, at the end of the day, like, she said that there's 4 NFL players signing with the team. Like she said, 3 former NFL players and 1 D1 player. So I'm excited to see who they sign, man. If they're really, kind of spending up, on the, taking out the pocketbooks as an expansion team. I'm excited to see who they sign. She also said there was a head coach named already, which is crazy to me that these teams can name. Like, this is my opinion, right? If Ricky Burst can conduct a national coaching search, which he did in 3 days to find a replacement, but these teams who have all offseason can't do an actual coaching search, it's crazy to me, right? They just hire their friends, but I'm excited to see who these head coaches are. And, yeah, man, I'm definitely going to make it out to a game. I'm coming up to Omaha next year when they play West Texas. I'm going to go to the Gentleman Club sponsor. Man, I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, Chris, this comment was kind of funny. Ghetto areas, ? I thought we kind of discussed this already, but depending on where you're at in Pueblo, it's not a ghetto, my friend.
Certain parts of it are. I've seen photos, man. I know.
Certain parts of it are, much like certain parts of every city and or state and or country in the world.
Not where I'm from. Where I'm from, we.
Okay. I've heard it from your mouth that there are ghetto areas in Massachusetts. So it just seems like an offhanded comment that didn't need to be said is all I'm saying. But regardless.
Come on, man. Come on, Shreveport.
I was going to ask you about
That how is Pueblo? What is it like down there?
It's dangerous, man. I'm telling you.
Krish, who's never been to Pueblo, is telling you all about it. So I guess I'll defer to his opinion. But I am actually in Pueblo multiple times a week. My mother lives down there. Like I said, depending on where you're at in the city, it's not that bad. Yes, there are some bad areas. And yes, if you look up on Google at Pueblo, you're probably going to find those bad areas first. That's what everybody wants to talk about. I'm not saying it's the greatest place in the world, obviously. But at the same time, if you're bringing a team to Colorado, Pueblo is probably one of the areas that makes the most sense for a couple reasons. First of all, if you look at the population in Colorado, slowly it's been migrating further south. Denver got to the point where it was overpopulated. People started moving to Colorado Springs, where I live. Colorado Springs has blown up by over 100,000 people in the last 5 years alone. And then basically you are watching people start to migrate down to Pueblo. So Pueblo right now is a growing city that's going to have a population boom over the next 5 to 10 years. That's great news for the Punishers that are trying to create a team now. If you get in on the ground floor, I think as the population grows, you can really kind of grow this team with it. And the thing that comes with that population growth is those areas start to get gentrified. They start to get rebuilt. They start to get made nicer. You get, newer newer amenities put in and all that stuff. So I think as we kind of go here, some of these concerns by Krish, who's again never been to Pueblo, Colorado, is talking about. But yeah, I mean, obviously,
They have cartel ties. I've read articles. I've seen the photos. I've seen the news articles. The news doesn't lie.
okay, yeah,
New York got cartel ties. What that mean? Everywhere got cartel ties. Chris, that doesn't mean anything. Uh, but how was the arena in Pueblo, Sam?
I've actually been to that arena. I like it a lot, and actually, it was kind of funny because I had no idea the Pueblo Punishers were coming. But when I went to the state fairgrounds where this arena is located, I have my ideas on why that's a good idea as well. But when I went to the arena, I walked in and I was like, man, this place is huge. Like, this would be perfect for arena football. Little did I know, less than a year later, here we are. We're talking about a team going into that arena. But there's that place that they chose, the state fairgrounds, has constant events going on, which is perfect for them because obviously, if you want to get in front of the people and you want to sit there and build the hype on the team as it comes 9 months in advance, right now is the time to do that because right now they're doing car shows, they're doing monster truck rallies, they're doing concerts, the state fair, like all these different events where they can go out and get in front of the people in that city and really build up a groundswell of support, which I really think, I'm a little biased because, again, we're getting a team in Colorado, but I really think that they chose this city and put a lot of thought into why they wanted to be in Pueblo. Because, again, with that population boom I talked about earlier, costs skyrocketed. So right now, I bet you Tony Thompson is paying quite a bit in housing. Because, trust me, the housing market here is not fun. And Pueblo is probably, Pueblo is probably 10 to 15% cheaper, and you're only a 2-hour drive from Denver. So, that's something as well. You have two teams in the same state, 2 hours from each other. That's a pretty easy bus ride as well. So that's another factor as well.
And like you said, they got in at the right time. So now the city will be able to push this team just as well because the city need that team more than anything because they need something to bring people there as an attraction.
Exactly. And Pueblo right now, to my knowledge, does not have a professional sports team. Colorado does, or Colorado Springs does. We've got professional soccer and stuff like that. But Pueblo, there might be a scenario where Pueblo really rallies around the Punishers, depending on how it's done. And I've been encouraged by the fact that they've already gotten sponsorships, 9 months in advance of the season. If they can keep that up, this team's going to be really, really solid foundation.
I like what Ricky and them are building in the NAL. I think if they add a few more teams, it's going to even out and be a force to reckon with because the competition level is rising in the NAL. And I just love the concept what they're going with. So I think they should just keep building on what they're doing and vetting the right owners and bringing in the right organizations.
I'm sure Coach Negron had nightmares thinking about the Punishers with that soft-ass logo.
Here we go. Now Krish is coming after my home state, but it's okay. It's okay. We all know the term that they have for people in Massachusetts, right? Mass holes. There's a reason for it. But
I think he just coming for you, Sam. For some reason, he
always.
just every team you like, he is at you.
Always. It's an ongoing thing, but that's okay. That's why I love Krish because he keeps it spicy in here. That's for sure.
Massachusetts, and I see these comments about Mass, man. This is the safest place to live in the country. We have hardly any crime. Like we have certain spots. Yeah.
Got hardly anything to do, barely any reception. So yeah, who wants to live out there? Okay.
I can't say a word. I've never been to Massachusetts, so I wouldn't speak on it without firsthand knowledge.
What Chris tells
Me. And the reception out there is horrible. They don't get the internet is horrible. He knows. Come on, Chris. You know we talk, so Coach B gonna keep it real with you. You know. You
No,
know.
I know. Look, the internet here is a problem, but Boston's a really nice city. No city, there's
It's
hardly any
very
cities in the
expensive in
world.
Boston too, though.
I know, but in the world, Mass, yes, it does. We don't have great parts, but overall, like, we're a really nice state. The people are nice. We have the lowest crime rate in the country. Like, I
One,
wouldn't want to live anywhere else. If I was raising a
one thing
family,
I can say,
nah.
Chris, I've been
To Colorado, and that's one of the cleanest, most beautiful states in the U.S. They take pride in their cleanness in that state, and it's the internet is not shitty. It's a lot to do in multiple places down there, and you get a feel on everything. So I would take Colorado over Massachusetts any day.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just say if we went head to head, like, Mass has a lot more great qualities than Colorado, a lot more safer. The people are better, less violent. Everything you want, we have. So I'm proud to be from where I'm from, and I have no regret.
All right. Well, we've spent enough time talking about real estate here on this indoor football show. I'm going to go ahead and leave that comment where it lies. You guys are welcome to form your own opinions on Colorado and Massachusetts. I highly recommend you visit them before you start forming opinions on pictures. That's all I'm saying. Krish is jealous of Southern Louisiana. Festivals every day, best food in the world, Southern hospitality, something he doesn't know about. That's hilarious. Fred says oil them up. I love that that's going to be a new term now. Oh, man. Hilarious. No, I really appreciate everybody who tuned in today. This has been a great episode. Lots of fun, lots to discuss. More than anything, what I'm excited about is the fact that we're getting teams that look like they have put some massive thought into where they're going, the cities they're going to play in, the arenas, all of this stuff. And I think that's really the most important part. If we're going to bring teams back, if we're going to put teams in markets, make sure that we have proper ownership in place. Make sure we have people that are smart and doing their due diligence and doing their research and getting in markets way early, way in advance to lay the groundwork for those teams so that we don't have situations where a month or 2, 3 months from now, we're talking about the Pueblo Punishers folding before they ever play a game and players who traveled out here have to go home and all that stuff. We don't want that anymore. We want teams that are going to come in, build up a huge, fan base, a following, and then get their sponsorships out of the way, and then hopefully have nothing but success. So as far as that goes, I like to see teams formed so far in advance to give them the time to get the boots on the ground and really kind of build up that fan base.
I hope these teams are, like, competitive too. I don't
Yeah.
want to see any, like, semi-pro, grown ass men running around trying to play. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see actual ballers, and I hope these teams, like, they fill up their rosters with talent, like Leaf and Derek and all them at West Texas. Man, I'm counting on y'all boys to put together a squad. If you already have your head coach, I'm expecting a good product on the field. Playoffs year one. If Beaumont can do it year one, anyone can. You know what I mean? It's just about finding the right coaching staff, right player personnel, putting the pieces where they need to go, and honestly, maybe spending a little money. You don't have to, like, spend crazy money, but spend up on the high vet players. A couple of vets, 2-3 vets. There's no issue with that. So just you can build, and with a rookie quarterback, if they can do it with a rookie quarterback, anyone can do it.
No, I agree. I think part of the reason why I like that move to Pueblo so much is because there are some cost saving things in place. Obviously with being Pueblo, like I mentioned, housing is going to be cheaper, stuff like that. So maybe they can spend a little bit more on the roster. And then as far as West Texas goes, they're going into an established market with Amarillo. They're obviously going to have some issues, going back to some of those sponsors and getting some support from them. But if they can pull it off, I think Amarillo is the type of market that will really support them going forward. They obviously love arena ball there. There's a reason why these teams keep coming go back there. Any final thoughts as we wrap this up today?
No, I'm just thankful to be in Albany. I had a great time last night. Great time at Media Day. I'm really excited for today's game. I'm glad I made the trip up, and I look forward to documenting my journey with a lot of pictures and videos on the network page. I posted that video yesterday. today, and I'm just excited. You know, maybe get a couple interviews as well. You know, pregame, postgame. So it's going to be a fun time. You know, I'm glad to be on site. And yeah, tonight, man, just keep sleeping on us. I hope everyone in the country picked Quad City to win because I think I love the disrespect. It fuels us. You know, someone said to me the other day, they said, would you ever trade being a Pirates fan? And I said, man, the Omaha Beef, if you asked me, hey, can you switch places and be an Omaha Beef fan and Omaha Beef come to Massachusetts, I said no. I put Jawad's team against any owner in the country. He's the best owner. I stand by him, man. He's the best player personnel in the country, man. Jawad's the GOAT, and I love my Pirates to death, and we're going to win this game. We're about to run a train on these boys. Let's go Pirates.
Who's the best recruiters in the game? Who you say yesterday? Give your top 4.
All right. So I Jawad number 1 by far. Number 2, I said I got to give it to you know, Coach Thomas in Southwest Kansas at number 2. It's a tie between Ben McCoy and Southwest Kansas, and at number 3 it's you, Coach B.
He had Shady yesterday. He had me and you at number 2 tied, and then Ben at 3 with y'all with number 1.
I mean, Jawad's always number 1 in my book, man. Jawad, you know, people can say what they want, but he finds the best players in the country. We move guys up consistently. You know, NAL hasn't moved up a single player in 2 years, so we move up 1 player a week almost, it feels like. So,
Hey, you know who I think will fit in the NAL? Duluth.
I don't know, man. I feel like Duluth would be really, really good in the NAL. I think Duluth could win the championship in the NAL. But I think, like, regionally it makes sense with Nebraska, Iowa, all those places are close to Duluth. You know, Nebraska's right on the border, like, at the edge. So I don't know, man. I would love to see Duluth.
It worked perfect.
But I don't know, man. I think there's big things in for that franchise, man. They built a really solid foundation. They have better housing setups than a lot of these NAL, IFL teams do. So, you know, I like Coach Tony, man. They got a good leader in there, and guys want to play for him. So that's all that matters, you know, if you have a coach. But I also had a great lunch with our guy CJ this week. You know, it's good to meet up with him from the network. He's really excited for 2026. He has some big news on the way, so stay tuned to our boy CJ Kane's Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, just
Hey, we didn't do our TAL predictions today.
Oh
let's
yeah,
let's go ahead and do them.
let's go.
Let me pull up the games real quick.
You know, I'm gonna stay goated for the rest of my life, so you already know who I'm going with in that
I
game.
respect you, Coach.
I'm never gonna
Pirates,
go
man.
against Dorsey and my guys ever.
Same with my Pirates, man. It won't change. It don't matter who we're playing, man. Omaha Beef, anyone, man. We're bringing that smoke and that pain. So.
All right, let me pull up these games real quick, and then we'll get into the predictions for these ones.
I love the glasses, Coach B.
You know, these my proms, man.
Dollar store got you right. I got mine from the dollar store too, so I can't blame you. All right, week 1, man. Iowa Woo, Duluth Harbor Monsters, man. Iowa Woo. I'm gonna be honest, man. Coach Tony is giving Coach Tyett and that defense way too much credit. That defense with Iowa Woo, man, they're not that good, man. They let up 73 points to the Goats, and I'll stick by this. They have a DB at quarterback for the Goats. So, I know Coach B will say he played, you know, quarterback in a flag league. Nah, he's a DB. So, yeah, I mean, Iowa Woo defense is overrated. They're not good. I got Duluth Harbor Monsters winning this game by 10. Eau Claire and St. Joe. This is a big game. I love you, Tay, but unfortunately, you're going down this week. Man, you gotta.
You better say something right.
I got St. Joe, man. I'm excited to see St. Joe finally get a win, get back on the board. Hot Springs and Ozarks. That loss last week was terrible. And one thing I know about my guy Bones, man, when he goes down, he comes up the next week, man. That's Bones Pagante. So I believe Bones and them are gonna beat Ozarks by like 15. So
I'm gonna go with Duluth. Man, as much as I want to say Tay gets another win, I think it's gonna be the Goats, and then also Hot Springs there at the bottom.
Damn right, Shady. Damn right. You might just became goated, Shady.
Love it. To be fair, Tay Brooks is my guy. I've known him for probably about 5 years now. He was one of the first coaches I came connected with when I started doing this media thing, and really excited that he got his opportunity to be a head coach. But yeah, he's unfortunately, I don't think he's got this one this week, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tay's young, man. You gotta, he's 29. He's still building. He's still figuring out your identity as a coach.
You got to realize he had. I was looking forward to coaching against Tay last year because remember he was the original coach for the for the Marshals in the AFL before they switched out and got Sean King. So
Excited for Tay.
yeah, I know what Tay can do,
Excited.
but I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna shake things up. I'm gonna go with the Woo.
My goat
Oh
and my
man, no
praise.
way you picked the Woo.
I
Really?
got it. It's
Oh,
about
Victor Mann, bro. I believe in Victor Mann. You know what I'm saying? I believe in
So
Vic because Vic believed in us, believed in me and Dorsey when we was with Kansas City, and he gave us a shot. You know what I mean? So I believe in the product he went, and I'm team no soft, baby. So yeah, I'm going with the Woo for upset because I need that upset this week on Tony and them. Get back and right back. Get back ain't cheating. You know, we're
oh
going with
man.
the goats, and I feel like Bones can out coach Cam down there. So I'm hoping Hot Springs pull this off. And I like them wide receivers that Bones and them got. And y'all have not really much as you say you don't like Tyus defense. Them DBs is leading the lead in picks. They really get turnovers out there.
Yeah, I need to see more from that defense. I think that defense is overrated. I don't think it's good. I think Coach Ivory doesn't get enough credit for what he's been able to do with Carlos in that offense, making quarterback change from Vern. So, you got to give Coach Ivory his love too.
Yes. Tay the man out there. Tay know how to recruit too. So he does a great job recruiting and bringing in players.
Yes, he does. I have a lot of respect for him and some of the players he's discovered over the past couple of years and in his coaching career. And if not for him, there might be a few players that are kicking around multiple leagues right now that are not in indoor football. But that's kind of the cool part about a lot of this recruiting game, in my opinion, is that there are realistic situations where these players may not have had an opportunity if it weren't for the coach that discovered them. A lot of these guys don't know about arena football prior to coaches hitting them up and kind of telling them what they can gain and all that from playing in arena ball. So I think there is some of that there, which is always fun to see and kind of keep track of over the years and stuff like that. Because I don't know about you guys watching, but one of the most interesting things to me when it comes to indoor football is kind of tracking player movement from year to year and seeing who the new guys coming in and who's loading up on vets and all those different roster building facets. But any other final thoughts before we get out of here for the day? Awesome. On that note, we really appreciate everybody who tuned in today. If you are a fan of Shady Sports Network, do me a solid, hit me up, come get one of these stickers, go grab some merch, whether it's a shirt, a hoodie, a hat, a beanie. It's all available on brandingblanks.com. Look for Shady Sports Network in the brand section, and you can get all of our stuff there. We also have a brand new line of Fantasy Reports shirts that are out now. Really clean logo, if I say so myself. I did not create that logo, just a fan of it for the record. So like that, but definitely go grab some of our merch, and we will catch you guys next week, next Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern, right here to review the championship game, discuss the latest news in all the biggest leagues, and then talk about a few other things. But also, while I have your attention, jump over to shadysportsnetwork.com. And check out our recent indoor football articles. We've had an article come out on the CIF and the history of the teams that have jumped around and where they're at today. We recently had an article about the AF or the expansion from every league and kind of grading how the teams did this season. And then the most recent one yesterday, it came out yesterday, was a rewind on the Tri-City River Gators season from 2025. So go check that out right away. And we appreciate all the support. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button. That tells whatever platform you're watching on that you enjoyed this content and that more people should see it. And that goes a long way for us. But on that note, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.